Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We're here with a 2017 Porsche Macan GTS. Has the 3.6 liter twin turbo V6 engine. We had a customer complaint where there was steam and smell of coolant coming out while they were at the stoplight, and they pulled over and noticed that their coolant was empty and the coolant light came on. So we loaded it up, brought it over here, and was able to use this tool here. We put this on the reservoir and hook it up to an air line. It pulls a vacuum, and get this car lowered real quick. And put that device up here, and we pulled the vacuum on the line, and when we had everything connected here, let me get you guys a light. When we have everything connected, meaning these lines and everything else, you could hear coming from either the thermostat or the water pump, which is right there, some hissing and whatnot. And if you look on top of the engine, you have coolant all over the engine. So we went ahead and pulled the intake manifold off, got everything pretty much where we need to go. I'm going to show you guys a trick to get this serpentine belt off, because otherwise you're going to have a really hard time trying to fit any kind of tool or anything down there to get on the tensioner. So hang tight and I'll show you a quick little trick to get that taken off. All right. So once you get this bottom cover off, several T25 bits, I just threw mine over there, you're gonna have a little access right here, and your tensioner is way up there. So what I deduced, kinda figured out, kinda read, kinda whatever, but with I'm using a half-inch breaker bar, but I don't care what it is. It could be just a piece of metal, but something long. You're gonna go up behind the belt here, using a little bit of leverage here and there. And if you see, just barely, you can pull and you'll get the tensioner to actuate. And then in the next clip, I'll show you the tool that we're going to use to wedge in between the tensioner and the idler to get the belt loose from up top. And we'll just take it off of the water pump and go to the next step, get the water pump off. There's a lot of controversy in trying to get a tool up here in order to get onto these bolts for the tensioner. If you can see, let's see if I can't focus on that. Yeah, it's gonna be hard, but I'll try to get it. Let's see. Yeah, so up in there, behind that line, is the bolt for the lower one, and then we'll try to get that. But basically, a lot of people are wondering what I'm using as a tool. I'm using a connection of things. I've got my Icon toolkit. I'm using a little 1/4-inch adapter in between. I'm using a handle. using the extension. And then I have the T50 bit on the end of the little bit, and this will go right up there and get that off with no problem. I really like this kit. It's been very useful, so highly recommend. Well, unfortunately for this Porsche, the tensioner bolts way down yonder, the heads are stripped, so we're gonna have to get this thing into service mode, which the customer doesn't want to do right yet. We have some other things that we're gonna wait till it gets warmer, that we're going to take the front bumper off and everything. So you will see this car again on the channel when we bring it in for the summer maintenance and getting it ready for the hot weather. Just show you guys what I'm talking about. If you see, our front air dam is closed and there is a motor right in the middle, right there, that we have to take the bumper off and get it from the other side. So we'll get the tensioner off and address that whenever we do that in a few months. But for now, we've got everything ready to go down in here. We're gonna get the thermostat back in, we'll put the water pump back in, we'll get the pulley back on it, and then it's gonna be pretty fun. But we'll get the Serpentine belt. I got the new belt right here, and it's kind of difficult to snake it down in there, but I'll show you guys the belt diagram and we'll put it on and get it back right. I'll show you a tool that we're gonna make. I was using this guy here. As you can see, it's kind of triangular, so it'll fit in between those two pulleys, but it's too narrow and it just kind of slid and fell off. But if you use a 12 millimeter Allen, which I left in the car, you could get down on the square and the tensioner and get the tension off of it. It'll be real easy. All right, we'll be back in just a few. All right, everybody. I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll have to get it out, but I just used a little thin piece of metal and put it in between the idler and the tensioner down there, and got the bolt loose or the belt loose for the water pump here. Now you're going to want to leave it on top of the water pump pulley, and you have 3 T40 bolts holding the pulley on for the water pump, and we're just going to spin it around until you have access in between this little hole and the pulley. And I'm using just a little T40 Allen type, these little Titan tools. They're great. And getting down there, and then what I'm doing is getting the wrench down there, and as I go to turn, I'm pushing on the belt like this to hold the pulley in place so I could break the bolt free. They're tight. You won't be able to break it without some tension on that pulley. Another option is to get a pry bar and pull up behind there, but you don't want to break that because it's plastic. All right, let me get this pulley off and we'll get the water pump off. So the water pump is held on with 5 E10s. And I recommend using a wobbler right there, because there's one down at about the 7 or 8 o'clock down here behind all this stuff, which is really hard to get to, and you need a little bit of room, and you can finagle your hand down back under there and get it off. But I have just one bolt left on here, and we'll get the water pump off. Alright, so here's everything that we need to complete this job, minus the belt, which is over there, and I'll give you the part number in just a second. but we need G40, and the part number is right there for your coolant. If you want to go back with OEM Porsche, this is our water pump, and on the back we have a pre-installed gasket, but if you need the gasket, that is the gasket number. And then our thermostat is right here with part number, and I'll include those in the description below if you need to see them written down or copy and paste them. And this is all coming from Suncoast Porsche, so they have pretty good deals and we like to use them. So we go with the concentrate. You're gonna mix that. I have another one just in case, and we're gonna get everything installed now. Also, don't forget your dielectric grease for your gaskets. I like to put just a little film around the gaskets just so that they seal nice and easy and have no issues there. All right, gonna get this stuff installed and go from there. Stay tuned. All right, everybody. One of the more poorly designed Porsche pieces, the steam port, goes from head 1, head 2 to the back of the block underneath all of this stuff. So I just used a little hose clamp and pulled the little hose out, and I'll get it back down in the channel that way. I unbolted this wire junction box and disconnected the PCV breather from the back there, or EGR, cooler, or whatever that is back there. I don't have a diagram, so I don't know. I just disconnected it. And we'll put this back together, recharge the cooling system, and try again. Stay tuned. Alright, close this hood up. Good for a little test drive.